In this video, we're going to see how to calculate accelerations using this equation. Acceleration equals end speed minus start speed over time. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to reduce these down to a letter. So end speed, we're going to just have it be the letter E. So that's how fast you're going at the end. Start speed, we're going to reduce that to the letter S. So that's how fast you're going at the start. And then T is how much time the whole adventure takes. Okay, so how fast you're going at the end minus how fast you're going at the start, and then divide that by the time. So let's just take a look at a few of these problems and label the end speed, the start speed, and the time. And that should help us get through the problem. So we've got a woman driving a car and she speeds up from 30 meters per second to 40 meters per second in 5 seconds. What was her acceleration? Well, let's label the end speed, the start speed, and the time. So she speeds up from 30 meters per second to 40 meters per second. So this must be her end speed. This is her start speed. And it took 5 seconds for all this to take place. Okay, so that's our time. Time is 5 seconds. Now, acceleration is equal to end speed minus start speed over time. So let's go ahead and plug these in. My end speed was 40 meters per second. And I'm going to follow the directions, which say to pay attention to units. From that, we subtract 30 meters per second. And then that's going to be divided by the time of 5 seconds. 40 minus 30 is equal to 10. And that's meters per second. And then I didn't do anything with the 5. It's just going to come over. We have 5 seconds. Finally, we have 10 divided by 5. That's equal to 2. And then our units are going to be meters per second. Whoops. Meters per second. Per second. Whew. So let's think about what that means. That means for every second of travel, her speed increased by 2 meters per second. For every second of travel, her speed increased by 2 meters per second. Okay, so that's 2 meters per second per second. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. We have a cat slowing down from 6 meters per second to 1 meter per second, and it takes 15 seconds to do it. What was its acceleration? So let's go ahead and label the S, the E, and the T. Start speed was 6 meters per second. End speed was 1 meter per second. And then the time is 15 seconds. Again, acceleration is equal to end speed minus start speed over time. That means we have 1 meter per second, because that's our end speed, minus 6 meters per second, all over 15 seconds. The cat was slowing down, and slowing down is negative acceleration. So I need to come up with a negative number. And sure enough, 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and that's meters per second. And then this is going to be over 15 seconds. Now we have a fraction. Okay, if you get a little too excited in your math here, you might think, oh, I know that. That's going to be 3, but it's not. Okay, because we have negative 5 divided by 15. And so that's going to equal negative 1/3. And again, our units, we're going to have meters per second per second. Okay, our cat was slowing down. And so each second, it slowed down by 1/3 of a meter per second. Okay, 1/3 of a meter per second per second. And that's what the acceleration units mean. Now, let's take a look at this rock And you might have a little bit of difficulty figuring out some of the values here, because as you read it, we can see 4 seconds later, and that's easy enough that 4 seconds later is going to be the time. But I can only find one speed in this problem. That's the 40 meters per second. So where's my other speed? I need 2 of them. And your other speed is found in this word right here, in the word drops. Okay, when you drop something, right before you let go of it, it's not moving. So that means we had a start speed of 0 meters per second. Okay. And so we can label it now with an S, an E, and a T. That's our S, and that's our E. And that's as much as I'm going to show you. Now number 6 might look like we have the same problem. I can only find one speed, but our keyword here is stops. Okay, when you stop, you're not moving. So that's another 0, but whether it's the S or the E, the start speed or the end speed, I will leave to you to figure out. So please pay attention to your units. Just be aware that when you get to the other side of this paper, that you can have accelerations of miles per hour per second. You can have kilometers per hour per second. And that's what's going to happen in these questions. So your accelerations can be miles per hour per second or kilometers per hour per second. So do pay attention to your units, and I think you will be successful in completing these problems. Remember that slowing down is negative acceleration, and fractions can happen, so don't be afraid of fractions. That's all.